another episode of Chatty Broads with Bekah and Jess.
Good morning, broads.
Good morning, broads. Chatty Broads Radio
On FM.
I was trying to think of what station we'd be on.
Wouldn't that be fucking hilarious if, like, you know how people are getting Spotify deals and we're like, broads, we have a big announcement. We are moving to 5:80 a.m. radio on at 2 a.m. every night.
We're like,
that's our deal that we got.
This is our new thing. Lots of foghorns. Blah, blah, blah. Middle of the night. Wake your ass up when you're driving late.
Yes.
That's us.
Then we get a whole new demographic of, like, truckers.
Oh my God, can't wait.
It's cool.
What are we going to even talk about? Yeah.
Do they have AM radio? I don't know how that works.
AM radio?
Mm-hmm. Is that like all around the world, like wherever, if you tune in? Is that how that works?
I'm pretty sure it's just like radio waves. So I'm pretty sure like there are radio waves all over the world and like so anyone can tune in.
And can you listen to like in space?
Probably. That's where I'll be tuning in.
That's so cool.
That's actually part of what's happening. We are getting shot into space and we will be recording everything. Broadcasting.
That's so cool.
Can you imagine we get shot into space and we don't talk about being in space?
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
We're
like, so let's talk about open relationships.
So is he down with non-monogamy yet or no?
As we're floating
Did
around.
you hear about Clayton and Colton? Like, I mean, we're literally in space, not acknowledging space.
So Rihanna's pregnant. Let's talk about it.
There's just like asteroids just like behind us and there's no acknowledgement. I feel like that might be what would end up happening.
I like that.
We would obsess over space for the first 4 episodes and then we'd never acknowledge it again.
No, why would you? I don't want to be there.
I don't want to be there either.
Like, let's just say I don't want to be here.
Whenever people are like,
how many times have we talked about this? How we don't want to go to space, but continue.
I'm just saying, like, I just don't understand when people are like, if I had all this money, like I would love, if someone offered me the free opportunity to go to space, I would laugh and I would say absolutely not.
What's fun to do out there?
Why would I ever want to be in space? Now, do I like to research space? For sure. Not me having a little edible the other night and going down a wormhole about black holes, planets that seem like the most like Earth. Wild. Wild. There was this beautiful photo recently that was released of a black hole and it looked like it was giving birth to like 1 million stars.
I mean, I guess I'd like to see the Earth and I would like to know that that I'm actually seeing it, but I guess I wouldn't even know that. It could be a really good screen tricking me.
That's true.
New technology tricking me into thinking I'm looking at the round Earth.
I feel like I've really been diving back into my space journeys again since I watched Don't Look Up.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Because, spoiler, this happens in the first 2 minutes of Don't Look Up. Okay, so I'm not really ruining anything, but a meteor is going to hit the Earth.
Yeah.
And they have an allotted amount of time until it does.
Yeah.
And it's the level of meteor is going to destroy the entire planet.
That's the thing, though. This is the thing that I feel about death too. Like when I think about the premise of the movie is that no one cares, right?
Yes,
no one's
and
trying
no.
to stop it because they don't care.
Well,
and they can't believe it.
It's like yes and no. Like some people are panicking, but then like social media washes it away with other things and it becomes something else, and it just becomes like a viral meme and like it's just
yeah. And then it's like, the heavy-handed parallel is our planet is an imminent disaster and no one's doing anything about it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's what I'm not going to watch it. I decided it already pisses me off. It pisses me off because, if I found out that a meteor was coming, fuck it. What am I going to do? Same thing I feel about aliens. I don't care. Not relevant to my life right now.
Well, the thing is, though, what was the wild thing about watching the movie, though, was, yes, as like, we're living in our homes and we're not connected to any sort of like powerful government official or scientist. So like we really can't do anything. But it was like when they were showing the clips from like in the White House and all of like, authority and scientists and all that was the wild part where you're like, oh, wow. Like just kind of a behind the scenes picture of like the like there's this imminent death coming, but the concern is more like making sure our party looks good because there's an election coming up in a few months. And so having to put a PR spin on everything, and they're like screaming at them, just being like, there's a meteor coming and there's ways that potentially we could destroy the meteor before it hits the earth. Okay, speaking of the planet, it's not exactly a secret that fast fashion is hard on the planet. It's just a fact of life. But there is a way to be earth-friendly and super stylish, and that's by thrifting on ThredUp.
Oh my gosh, so ThredUp takes all of the less fun parts of thrifting out of the picture. It makes it so much more time efficient. You don't have to leave your house. Yeah, I really like ThredUp. The only bad part about thrifting, in my opinion, is sorting through the tons and tons of disorganized racks to find the best pieces. And sometimes it's like, if I have to lug the kids around with me, it's just too much. But at ThredUp, you can shop over 2 million pieces easily because you can customize your search for exactly what you want. You can search by size, style, budget, and even brand.
From Gap to Gucci, ThredUp has all your favorites at 90% off the estimated retail value, plus a super easy return policy if you get something that you don't love. Finally, it's thrifting done easy.
ThredUp is offering a deal for our new customers. So right now, head to thredup.com and get up to an additional 50% off, plus free shipping on your first order. So that's up to an extra 50% off, plus free shipping on your first order just by heading to thredup.com. I especially recommend for kids' clothes. Love ThredUp. That's thredup.com for 50% off and free shipping on your first order. So, all that aside, I have one question for you that I forgot to ask you last episode when you were talking about your demons/protectors.
Yes, please.
And I don't think I asked you this, but it's been on my list forever. Maybe I did ask you. Correct me if I did. When the demon was in your ear, did you pray to Jesus?
You know what's so funny? A change in my life. It was the first time I didn't.
You didn't? You didn't even just throw that out there?
No. And it was the first time. My whole past, like about to get in a car accident or anything like that, I always just automatically like call out to Jesus because of the upbringing. Inside. I guess I'm dead inside now because when the demon was in my ear, I was just attempting to get out of the situation and I didn't even have a moment where I did that.
Shit. I think I would definitely be like, Spirit of God, I call upon you to release me from the grip of this monster.
Wash me away with the holy water.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I'd be calling
no, I didn't. I didn't.
Wow.
Yeah. It was a big shift for me, I guess.
Damn,
which means that I'm definitely going to hell.
Yeah, definitely.
The demon was just there to drag me down into the depths.
Yeah.
And was like, it's time, bitch.
The Reaper.
It's time, bitch. I hear what you talk about on this podcast. It's time for you to go. It's time for you to go.
Oh my God. That's just interesting. What did you do? Anything? Did you do any attempts to get it away from you?
I mean, I was like physically trying to move. And like I could like shimmy my body around. So you're basically
just like in fight or flight, essentially. Yes. So you were just like not even, you were just like get out of situation.
1,000%. I was just like, get off. I knew that it was a dream. Yeah. But I also felt the realness of it. So I was just like, get out, get out, get out. Like I was just trying to, which is why I'm really trying to learn how to lucid dream because I want to get myself out of those situations. I want to be able to make decisions in my dreams.
Unless it's not a dream.
Do you know what's wild is that Ember can lucid dream and she like acknowledges her lucid dreaming. So now she'll, before she goes to bed, I'll be like, what are you going to dream about? And she'll be like, I'm going to dream about me being in the ocean with a dolphin that's a friend and we're going to have adventures together. And I'll be like, okay, sounds good. And then the next day when she wakes up, I'll be like, did you have that dream? And she'll say either like yes or no. And she's like, if I really want to, I can get myself to dream what I want to dream. And I'm like, really? I'm like, that's called lucid dreaming. So now she's telling everyone she can lucid dream. Cool. So that's her new thing.
Have you ever done it?
No.
Oh, really?
Mm-mm. I don't think so. Not that I can remember. Like if I'm thinking about something enough, sure, it'll be part of my dream. But I don't feel like I can make like active, aware decisions while I'm lucid dreaming or while I'm dreaming.
Do you know you're dreaming often?
I went through many years where I never recalled or felt like I was dreaming. Obviously I was, but I didn't remember it until the past year. I've had really vivid dreams and I know I'm dreaming in most of them. What about you?
I don't know. I'm dreaming most of them. I dream a lot.
She's a big dreamer, folks.
Or I should say I remember a lot of my dreams, or like they're very vivid when I wake up. And they're often not crazy dreams. Like they're often not super fantastical. Like, where someone would be like, my dreams.
Except you have those Squid Game dreams a lot, right? Where you like are left
but
to like
still
an
fairly
ultimate
practical. Like they're let me put it this way.
I'm
like
getting out of practical situations. There's not enough cashew milk at the store, and I have to figure out who I'm going to fight to get the milk for my family.
That's the thing. They're sort of rooted in the law and like rooted in reality.
Okay.
So even in those dreams where those situations, it's because we are in some totalitarian regime where we've been captured. Like it's all like practical.
Got it. Do you think they're kind of psychic a little bit?
Some of them 100% are.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, have I told you about my dream about my grandparents' house? How I told you about this? Yeah.
That's
like
wild.
The first dream I ever remembered, and like it just happened like 2 years ago, and like there's so many things that are falling into place, like actually pertaining to that I'm like unpacking right now that are really blowing my fucking mind. Like just weird stuff, like things I always want to draw when I'm making art, and like I don't know, all these things are like overlapping, like it's really weird. But yeah, I mean, I've definitely had dreams that are like, well, and I do sometimes wonder, I'm like, I wonder if I have these dreams so often, and I really like that kind of like literature and fantasy. Like, I wonder if I'll ever be in a situation, I hope not, where I'm like kidnapped or like in some sort of system where I have to try to escape it. But maybe it's a parallel for just like bigger systems going on, right?
Maybe. I've been having these weird feelings lately. This is gonna sound so weird.
Oh no, I can't wait to hear.
I've been having these weird feelings lately about you being psychic. Like I've been thinking about it all the time.
No, I think I am.
Yeah.
Really? You've been thinking about me being psychic?
Yeah, I've been thinking about it all the time.
Weird.
Like when you've been saying like, oh, I think we should do this. Even if I'm a little bit like, oh, what about this? I always have this thing in my brain in like recent days where I'm like, I think we should do what she says.
Well, I've been meaning to tell you those are my demons in your room, actually, that I've summoned to bend you to my will. And so it's about time that I tell you
the demon's holding me by the neck. He's just like, listen to Bekah. I'm like, okay, God. No, I've been thinking about it a lot.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, I've been very introspective.
Yeah. I mean, we've both been in that mode.
Yeah, we've been in that mode. And so I've been thinking about like my like closest friends and kind of like their place in my life. And whenever I think about you, it's just like literally like I see the word like psychic in my brain.
Whoa, that's cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. You're psychic too if I'm psychic and you know that I'm psychic.
I don't know if I'm a psychic. I think I'm just more of an empath.
The amount of times that word has come up, it's a test. It's been a test for me. It's a test. It's come up 2 weeks in a row on the fucking podcast.
Empath, baby. Soak it up.
I am a little bit of a psychic because remember how I was going to my psychic rants and then that meme on TikTok came out? Like me, an empath.
Yes.
No. Wait, did I say the wrong words? I think I said the wrong words. I was talking about empaths on Instagram, roasting them. And like 2 months later, it was all these memes about empaths. I was like,
I think you put that energy out there.
I think I did. I think I just picked up on the energy that was to come. I don't think I put it out there. I don't think I'm that powerful.
Okay, well, give yourself some credit here.
Thank you. I think I knew it was coming and I knew it was the time to share my thoughts on empaths with the world.
Yeah,
the people were ready for it.
The people were ready. They were open. People had been opening their hearts. And they're like, I'm ready to receive her criticism about my empathic being.
Yes, and then those memes started coming out. I was like, I don't even have to make one. Oh my God. Yeah, I don't know. But I will tell you there are times where I think I'm being psychic about something I'm not, which I want to bring up something I needed to tell you.
Oh, okay.
Which I was going to tell you off the podcast, but now I'm going to tell you on the podcast because it'll just be better.
Okay.
Wait, one more thing about the psychic thing though. I can't tell the podcast yet because I haven't told some loved ones about this, but I actually like with the stuff we're talking about, I actually have like this big like feeling about like this is what I'm supposed to do. And I'm like so excited. Yeah. Also, I have
I
some
mean, this is an insane tease. Now
it's
I'm
not that crazy. I've already sort of like told you, but it's not that crazy. It really isn't. But I've also I do believe I've had psychic stuff about you guys, which I'll also tell you off the podcast. I can't tell you on the podcast.
Oh my God.
But like, yeah, no, I'm not going to talk about it on the podcast. It's just not right. It's got you guys are going to break up.
Wait, what is it? I need to. It's not right.
No, okay.
No, you know what?
We can cut it out.
Okay,
We'll cut it out.
If listen.
No. It's just too personal.
Okay.
No, I've had psychic things about you guys having another kid. Like I've always, whenever you said you don't want another kid, I've always felt this like thing in me, and I'm like, why did I get like an emotional reaction? I think you guys are supposed to have a second kid.
Yeah.
But who knows? It might be 5 years, 10 years. But I think that's a thing that like is supposed to be.
I think you're right.
Scary, but
I think you're right. I've been thinking about it a lot recently, and I've been thinking about it when I celebrated my sister's birthday, and we have like this big age gap. And I think what stopped me is the age gap. Because at the time it's like, I'm not ready for another kid, but like, what about, and then I was thinking about my relationship with my sister, and I'm like, I adore her and I treasured, she made life so much better. And honestly, we never fought. We were just like always close in a unique way. And then now as she's older, like we text and we call each other every day. We have like this really intimate relationship. And I'm like, an age gap doesn't matter.
My
it's okay.
my big sister and I are 7 years apart, and like we've always been best friends. Like probably since, well, not always, probably since I was like 8. Even that young, you know, it was like, and I call her all the time, and don't worry. That'd probably be better for Ember anyways, to have her own space in the world before another child entering.
Yeah, I think her time, she needs her time here alone, and then maybe, you know, once she's gotten a little older, then she's able to, and is looking forward then to a sibling.
Okay, cut!
No, it's okay. It's okay. Leave it in.
Really?
Yeah, why not?
All right.
Why not?
I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes it just feels so like personal.
I appreciate you being sensitive to it, but no, it's okay.
There are some things for me, like when someone asks me, it's so interesting. I'm so open about certain things, but like when people ask, I've talked about this before, when people are like, oh, you know, like, you and Gray, like, when did you know that you guys like fell in love or like in love? All that kind of stuff. I'm like, oh, I hate talking about it. It feels so personal that I don't want to talk about it.
Interesting.
I don't like talking about him. Like I don't like talking about like our connection, like sex or like activities or like fights. It's like our like
emotional,
our emotional connection to each other. Yeah. I'm like, ooh, like I don't like. I feel so like
don't ask
it feels so like private, even with like a best friend or like a sibling. It's so weird. I don't know why. I'm like,
I get that. I think
maybe I don't want to jinx it. Maybe it's a superstitious thing.
It might be. I think, I'm trying to think. The only thing that for me, I'm like, that I'm not okay talking about normally is if it's something that would like affect other people in my life. Yeah. And then I'm like, okay, also sometimes my bipolar. Yeah. It depends on the season I'm in. Sometimes I'm like, I do not want to talk about it because I feel like if I don't have the right amount of time on the podcast or elsewhere to explain the situation, I'm going to get a lot of feedback. Ugh. Or I'm also going to get people who are maybe first tuning in, then thinking I'm making judgment calls about me or whatever.
Because you don't have the full picture and you're like, I don't want to receive that.
Right. So that's the only time that sometimes I feel protective of that. And I'm like, my heart and my brain cannot take, you know, that information being put out there at the time. And then other times I'm like, let's talk about it the whole time. Like I could care less.
Yeah. And sometimes even people saying like, there are certain things that I don't like talking about because then some people are like, oh, I get it. And then certain things being an open wound and being like, no, you don't. Like that's sometimes like a thing for me where I'm like, it's not even the criticism. It's people being like, oh, I understand. And you're like,
you will never understand. You have no idea what that is. They're my insights. That's my story. No one can write it but me.
Exactly. Okay, so sometimes,
what are we going to say?
Sometimes this is the other thing about me, that sometimes I claim a psychicness that's just off. Okay. And I'm like, I know it. I just know it. Okay. And it's just not. It's just off. And I actually wonder, like, I would be interested to talk to someone like Jessica Lanyadie. I'm like, how often does that happen where you're like, yep.
And you're like totally off?
Yeah.
I mean, but there could be many layers to that.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, I mean,
it could be someone.
I said I was going to marry our friend Rob, though. Remember? I was like, well, actually, we weren't very close.
You're still young, Becca.
There is time.
There is time. So I'm just saying you can't write that off yet.
No, but I did one like that. Actually, here's the problem.
And maybe you could have.
Okay.
Maybe you could have.
Maybe those are alternate paths. Okay.
Yeah, it's an
and then there was a
decision.
deliberate choice into another path.
Yes.
Okay.
Don't do yourself dirty like that.
Granted, he did get pregnant with someone 3 months into their relationship.
Yes.
So that's interesting.
Or maybe you saw his future.
Whoa.
And you had this weird parallel with yours. Okay, broads, quick pause. The amount of options for skincare in the last few years has exploded. I know the old saying goes, you can never have too much of a good thing, but when you have to try to pick between 70 different cleansers at the store and you don't know which one really has the best, cleanest ingredients, well, that's just too much of a good thing. The one brand I can always trust for my skin is Osea. Broads, I've been using Osea for years. It is my favorite. They are an incredible brand.
Oh my gosh, I love Osea. For more than 25 years, they've been making some of the best skincare around. Every single product is clean, vegan, cruelty-free, safe for the planet, and most importantly, it's effective. I started using Osea a while ago. It's my go-to brand now when my skin needs a little bit of a reboot. I cannot get enough of their body oil. It's so good during the winter months. I have such dry skin like all year round, but in the winter, oh my gosh, like my skin is so bad. But it doesn't leave me sticky at all when I use the body oil. So I really like that. I also like using it during summer while I'm laying out by the pool. It's just good all year round.
And I totally agree. The body oil is amazing, but so are all of the other Osea products, by the way, which is why I recommend the Discovery set, so you can try all of their best-selling products at once. The set is just $40 and includes a cleanser, serum moisturizer, and the best-selling body oil. It's the perfect way to dip your toes in the water of a new skincare brand while you figure out what works best for you and your skin.
Find your new skincare favorites at OCEAMalibu.com and get a special discount just for our listeners. So you can get 10% off your first order with promo code CHATTY at OCEAMalibu.com. You're going to get free samples with every order, and orders over $50 get free shipping. You're going to want it all. Just go to OSEAMalibu.com and use code CHATTY.
So if you're a cat person, or you grew up with a cat person, or you have cat-loving friends, then you know that there are so many positives to having a cat. But also, there is one big negative: the litter box. Traditional litters can make your cat's litter box hard to clean, super dusty, and no matter how many candles you light or windows you crack open, they always seem to leave the room smelling just a little weird. But not if you use Pretty Litter.
Okay, seriously, you guys, if you got cats, you need to give Pretty Litter a try. I made the switch a couple years ago. I've never looked back. My biggest issue was always the dust that the cats tracked around the house when we were using other litters. But Pretty Litter is made with a super light crystal base. It's virtually dust-free, and it can last up to a month, so I don't really have to scoop out the litter box as much, and it stays super fresh.
But there is more. If you have a cat that you know, it's just sometimes impossible to tell what they're thinking or how they're feeling, especially if they're sick. Well, Pretty Litter can actually help detect early signs of potential illnesses in cats, like urinary tract infections and kidney issues. The color of the litter will change to let you know if something may be going on with your fur baby, so your cat's health is no longer a guessing game.
Yeah, that feature is so unique. I don't think there's another litter on the market that offers that. So it works, it traps odors, and it gives no dust, and it gives me the peace of mind. And that's why I love it. And you and your cat are going to love it too. So go to prettylitter.com and use code CHATTY. You're going to save 20% on your first order. That's prettylitter.com, code CHATTY to save 20%. prettylitter.com, code CHATTY. Well, yeah, who knows? But okay, here's the one thing. I might change my mind. But I do not have a crush on my crush anymore. I'm over him.
Do you know what's funny?
What?
Is I got that energy from you.
I was like, you're annoying me and I don't like you. Of course you got that energy
weren't being a bitch when you were around this person.
I felt like I was being my version of a bitch because I was actually telling Gray last night, and I was like, I thought, like in my head, I was being funny. I thought, and no, it's not even funny. In my head, I was amused by myself for no real reason. But my intentions were bitchy, whether or not I was coming across as being a bitch.
Well, it didn't come off as being a bitch.
Okay,
the reason
good.
that I got the energy was not so much more of like me being a psychic.
Because
it was
you
more,
left and I left immediately.
Yes, it was like I'm leaving the location we were at, and you were like, I'm coming with, and there was no like. There was
Linger.
There was no, and then there wasn't a conversation afterwards.
I will tell you what.
There wasn't like any
between me and
downloading.
you.
Yeah, there wasn't any like, and I didn't ask about it afterwards. If you've noticed, you noticed, because I was like, I just feel like it just that just didn't happen.
I will tell you actually I will tell you this. The leaving immediate. Okay, so Jess had to go. I will say actually the immediate leaving after had nothing to do with it. Even if I had a crush on him in that moment, I was going to leave. I was like, I am not punishing myself. It's 11:15. I need to pack and we need to leave for the airport at 7:30 tomorrow.
But here's my other thing.
Okay, tell me.
Even if you would have left immediately, it's just I know you,
no.
and
I know
that
believe
it's
you
like
knew.
it's like I'm gonna leave, but I wish I could stay type vibe versus like I'm out of here, like done.
Well, you know what I was realizing in the car? I actually felt like, oh man, like maybe I should stay and stick around. But I actually had like a really good processing moment where I was like, you know, if I was single, even if I had something that I needed to do in the morning, even if it was with kids, you know, whatever, I probably like would have stayed, or I probably would have like messaged him after, because in the past I was always not even desperate to have a boyfriend, but desperate to have something taking up that part of my attention. Desperate to even have someone to think about as a crush.
Yeah, for sure.
Think about someone romantically.
Yes.
And that I have always been someone who will try to make not even a relationship work, make a crush work, because you wanted
like that.
to have that. And I
can
processed
completely
it.
relate to that.
And I was just like, I actually would have stuck around, would have texted him, would have called him, would have done something like that, even if I had been annoyed, and I would have skewed my own instincts to make myself like someone. But now, because I have a partner, and I guess I'm older and a little more introspective about things than 4-5 years ago, I was like, no, like I don't have to like chase that chase the fantasy of the fantasy, right? Like
Totally. If you can take it for what it is, which was like a beat in your life.
But that makes me sad, because I want there to be people out there that I look, I do connect with this person about things, and that doesn't mean that I have to have have to be in love with them.
Right.
And I think that that's what I've missed a lot of my
that it doesn't have to go from
life.
like connection doesn't have to mean romance.
Yeah. Or it doesn't have to mean serious romance, I guess. No, I just had the there's literally one story he told immediately, and I was like, I hate you. I was like, I hate you. And it wasn't even a story that was worthy of hatred. And I was just like, like,
you're like disgusting. Ick initiated.
I don't even know if it's ick. I was just like, you bug me. And I'm done with you. You don't even know that
You're
was
like,
there.
on to the next.
But I'm done. I'm done.
That's
You're
so
done.
funny.
Yeah, so, but I don't know. That could also change.
I mean, you mean with the same person?
Yeah, sure. Who knows?
Sure. It ebbs and flows.
Yeah, maybe he'll change.
Maybe he'll figure out his shit and he'll change.
Maybe he'll change himself to be more to my liking, and then maybe my crush will come back. Mm-hmm. Do you ever been wrong about that kind of thing, where you're like really like convinced about a connection with someone, and
and then it was just like totally wrong, or that it came back?
I don't know. Feel free to pick whatever question you want to answer.
I would say, I mean, I've definitely been wrong about a connection with someone, that's for sure. There was one specific guy who we really connected, and we were like, it was so fun, but I forced it to become romantic when it shouldn't have been.
Yeah. What happened?
Because I was like, well, it did not end well because, and it was my bad because I let it on because I forced it to happen. Because I'm like, we have such great chemistry. We have so much fun together. It has to also be this, right? It can't just be a friendship. What a waste. I'm like, no, it has to be something else. So I forced it. And then, he was heartbroken. It was sad
That
because
is sad.
he felt romantic connection.
Oh, I've done that so many times.
I also felt like he was kind of the
times.
guy who would have felt romantic connection with anyone.
Right.
He was a romantic in general.
Yeah.
So then I feel like I trampled on his poor heart a little bit.
That's sad.
And I tried to then be really honest when we wrapped it up. I was like, I had so much fun, and I wasn't like, this wasn't a lie. I tried to make it something it wasn't.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've ever felt a connection and then not felt it like disgust and then gone back to it.
Oh, you've never gone back to
I've never gone back and then been like, never mind, I was wrong. Like once the ick is there a little bit, or I'm just like, no, thank you. I don't typically go back. Unless I'm bored.
Yeah.
But then I know it's wrong.
No, I actually guess I haven't really done that either. Like, I guess I'm thinking about exes that I hooked up with again, and they were never people that I was like, I'm done. Like it was like usually kind of difficult, and it took a long time for one of us to come to that conclusion or whatever, and which is a different scenario. Do you think that if you guys would be in an open relationship that it would this is an interesting boundary, and let's just assume that there is someone that fits the bill. I feel like this probably isn't the case for either of you. Would you put the kibosh on having any relationship with an ex?
Oh, interesting.
Because I know a couple who is married, and she is actually dating her
ex,
her high school boyfriend now, as with kids.
Interesting. I think if we were in a full-blown open relationship like that, I wouldn't put a kibosh on it, but I would be hesitant. Because it would just depend on it'd be like, okay, what are your boundaries?
What are our
boundaries? And so as far as our discussions have been, it would be purely physical, right?
Which is you can't really do that with an ex, right?
Right. So it's there's already so much history there that if those are your lines and boundaries, I feel like you're just asking for trouble with an ex.
Definitely. Oh, yeah, I agree with that. I've hurt myself so bad hooking up with an ex, and then sobbing my garden, I miss him so much.
Just full spiral. Yeah, no, honestly, if it was an open situation, there's just this part of me that's I've thrown around, the person, the crush to Evan, and it's a no. It's a no because of specifically who it is. So I think that would be complicated for us too.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because it's I think it's a threat thing.
Yeah. Isn't it the whole thing of open relationships though?
Right. Right. That's the point.
Okay. And then the other thing I wanted to ask you, let me consult my notes. There was something other that was important.
Lay it on me, babe.
Okay. Oh, this feeling. This is why I was tied into the crushes. So, when you're and I know you know this, you're out and you're doing your thing and you notice someone and you notice them noticing you, and it's a great feeling. Recently, I experienced someone noticing me, and
Did you hate it?
I hated every second of it. And I came home and I told Gray, I was at a yoga class. I go, I was at a yoga class today and I could tell this guy was really into me. And he goes, oh, did that make you feel good? I go, no, it made me feel terrible.
Okay. Let's break down what felt terrible about it to you.
First of all, I immediately like noticed when I walked into the room that he noticed me. It was the most subtle thing.
It was just a quick little glance.
Yeah. And I was like, well, obviously, hello, it's me, you know? So I'm like, he's noticing me.
As is everyone.
No, but I like noticed his, like I just felt his eye.
Mm-hmm.
And then during the class, and you know, it was one of those things too where he was like a good looking guy. Like I'm sure someone for all intents and purposes could like do a lineup and be like, oh, she would like date that guy.
Sure.
Looks like he fits the bill. But I was just like, no, like
it was
no.
Graced and they were doing a role playing scenario.
Yeah, exactly. This is a role playing scenario where I don't like him. No, I was like, and then Jess, this was the worst. Like as we're going through the class, you know, they have the big mirror. Like I am sometimes catching. I'm looking. I will like, you know, just naturally like look his way, and I'll see him like snap his head in the other direction. I'm like, like he's watching me. Which is, there's nothing wrong with that. It was not like he's a gross guy. It was just like, he's attracted to me and I am not attracted to him.
Yes.
I don't like this feeling.
Which isn't a good feeling.
No. And I didn't even realize. And then, oh my God. And then I just knew as the class ends, I'm like, I've got to sprint out of here. I have got to go as fast as humanly
Quick
possible.
roll the mat.
Literally, my one objective was to get in my car and lock the doors. You would have thought that a bear was pursuing me. I was like, finish the class, you know, they're like, it's like, and thank you for Shavasana. I'm like, yep, that's out. Namaste. Let's go. Yeah, exactly. Rolling. Just so fast. Rolling. Just feverishly shaking, hands shaking.
The keys.
So of course, then you have to go out, and so I have to get my shoes out of the exactly scrambling, hands shaking, scrambling to get my shoes out of the cubby. Where are my keys in the cubby? You know, just panicking.
You're just like, I can't talk to this man.
And he goes, and of course, as I'm frantically trying to get my stuff, he goes, "How'd you enjoy the class?"
Oh no!
And I'm like, I loved it, you know, like, love this class, you know. And he's like, oh, I can't remember what he said, some follow-up thing, and me just trying to be nice.
He was really trying. Yeah,
me just trying to be nice, and just like, oh my God, I know. And like, it's something I just love it in the cold weather when it's so I love hot yoga because then it warms up my bones. I just like feel, you know, like I could be warm from the inside out.
And then you're coming off like you might
be
interested
so
because you're flustered.
I literally like finished my sentence. I was like, I just feel like it, like, just, you know, sometimes I need to be in the heat because it like warms me from the inside out. Like I know I'm a baby. It's only 62 degrees out, but I'm freezing. Finish my sentence and book it. And I speed walked. So he was probably so confused because I like said, you know, like said this whole thing, and I'm like, and I'm just like, don't look behind. Like there's gonna be a ghost in the ghost face in the window behind you.
You're gonna look in like the window and just be like,
just running off past my car. Get in, shut the door.
The rear view window. He's just standing there.
I can't back out the car. He's standing there with his yoga mat. Namaste, sister. Oh, but yeah, it was so interesting because I can't remember the last time where I was like, wait, there was nothing wrong with this sweet man. What was wrong was that he was into me and I couldn't be further from into him.
I also think probably a large part of it. Just picturing you running out. A large part of it, I believe, is that you were not in the space to receive someone noticing you. Like you're going to a workout class, right?
It's not true.
Is that where
if it was a guy that I thought was hottie McHottie,
Oh, then you would have been open
I would have been
to it.
like, let's be looking through the mirror at each other all class, baby.
Just eye contact the whole time.
I'm here to be entertained. I'm not here to get my sweat on. I'm here to see who's in the room and, glancing.
Okay.
You make
See,
a
I
little
know-
playful banter. And then I'll pray, maybe he'll ask for my number or something. I'll go, oh, I'm sorry. Like, I'm married and have 2 kids.
So sorry, but maybe we'll bump into each other.
So I would love it. I would love it.
Okay, because I know for myself, if I am in a situation where I am not, like I'm going to a workout class, I'm at the grocery
I was
store
gonna
in
say
my
grocery
sweats,
shopping,
like
yeah.
if I'm just not feeling like I'm in that energetic zone.
Yeah.
If I see someone who I find to be beautiful, who notices me and extends themselves, I am like, get away from me, because I can't receive it. I'm like,
Yes.
I'm not in that headspace where I can acknowledge that that's happening.
Yeah.
But we're on a night out, mama's dressed up, I'm feeling that energy, then I'm like, welcome.
Yeah.
I don't like it if I don't vibe on the person's energy at all.
Right.
Then I'm like, and also depending on how the person is going
and
about
sometimes,
it. It's like,
sometimes they're
no.
just, sometimes people's energies are just like you talking about not being open. Sometimes people's energy is just real strong and someone's just like, kind of like pursuing you intensely in this in this passing moment, and you're just like, okay, this is too much.
Yes. And it's so funny because depending on the moment and depending on the person, someone can be pursuing with the same energy and it's not bothersome.
Totally. Absolutely.
It's just unspoken.
Yeah.
I don't think we can dissect
It's just
how
energy.
and why
No,
we
it's just
receive
energy.
certain energy certain ways.
I know. I mean, I had a boyfriend where like if anyone else was like, doing the same thing, I'd be like, he's pushy, he's whatever. And then with him, I was just like, drooling, just like
Totally.
Yeah. That's what makes, that's what makes all of this very confusing. Dating and romance is very confusing.
It's a lot.
So
Especially with,
can you think
the
of
boyfriend and the kids.
Yes, especially with the partner, the committed life partner part is makes things tricky. Yeah. Have you had that when you're like, can you think of any specific moments? One time there was a day where I at the grocery store. This has never happened since. There was like twice in one day where like someone asked me out like on the spot, like at the grocery store or something
Really?
like that. And it's never happened since. No, I know what it was. Someone in the grocery store parking lot and someone at a red light. Like that is
A red light?
honey, this is not like, just something that happens because
I'd
I'm
be
so
like,
hot.
excuse me, individual. Do you think this is a rom-com? Like, you don't ask me out at a red light. I don't even know who you are.
It was so that does not happen. That has not happened since. I do not get asked
That's
out
wild.
a lot. It's twice in one day. Grocery store parking lot and car next to me. I was like,
So
wow.
interesting. I'm trying to think. I mean, I do not often get like, I can't think of a time where I was like just blatantly asked out without anyone like getting to know me for at least 10 minutes.
Right.
I mean, I've definitely had situations where I'm out and there's like the relentless pursuit, and it's just, of course, the one person in the room that you don't want to be pursuing you, and it's just like a puppy dog, which is then why I have one particular friend
That
who
it'll
does
tell
all the
them.
dirty work for me. I look at her and I go, and she just goes up and she's like, excuse me, is anyone asking you? I'm pretty sure she's making it clear she's not interested, so back the fuck off. And then I
I
just
need
get
to
to
hear that.
float away.
And
You
you're
know,
like, oh, sorry.
I'm so sorry. I know she's a
She's
lot.
so rude. She's drunk. Bye-bye.
Yeah, no, I don't get the ask out often.
No, I mean, I don't either.
I did have a moment the other day that was great for me in
Tell.
Bevmo. It really spiked my confidence.
Bevmo. Cannot remember the last time I was in a Bevmo.
I was getting something for my sister for her 21st birthday.
Yeah. A
And
huge, massive case of Smirnoff Ice.
just legit. These days in general, I'm not dressing up when I go out.
Yeah.
Like, I am in sweats, I'm in pajamas when I'm running errands. I was going to my sister's little birthday, so I had a little skirt on, high heels, I was done up, had a little choker, like I was feeling good. And I walked into Bevmo and I saw this guy right away give me the eyes, and I was like, who was working there? And I was like, hello, sir.
Hello. So greetings.
Hello, sir. And I went and I did my thing, and then I got in line, and there was like an 8-person line, and I was standing dead center. And he walked up to me and tapped me on the arm, and he's like, I got you over here, and pulled me out of line. And I was like, all right. That might have just been what they do, but I'm pretty sure there were 3 people in front of me and 3 people behind me, and I got pulled out individually, and the girl behind me was pissed.
Oh, really?
She was pissed. And I was like, I'm sorry, I just never dress up. She was adorable. I was just like, I'm like, let me have my moment, okay? I never wear a little skirt anymore with little heels
like, yes,
out.
that's me strutting over to the empty line. I have the cashier at Bevmo.
And let me tell you, strut I did.
Did he flirt it up with you?
Back. He got a little shy as soon as he was behind the counter.
That's cute.
He was shy. But he came over and he had the energy of like, I'm like, oh, he's going to flirt hard. I'm going to get a number. Not so. A lot of numbers at restaurants. That's a big one. A server will leave the number.
Really?
Yeah, that's probably the main time that
I've never had that happen in my entire life.
I probably flirt way too hard. That's why.
Wow, she is.
I just like point to the menu and I'm just like, what do you like on this menu?
What do you think about the fettuccine Alfredo? Biting your finger. Winking. You're just drinking out your straw like with your eyes.
What are your thoughts?
Oh my God. Maybe I was listening to the episode where Gray was telling me how Evan. Wait, were we talking? Okay, sorry. This is all like a dream now. I don't remember what actually happened. There was some conversation that happened about whether or not the guys would get hit on with the kid if they were single.
Yes.
What went down with that conversation? Because I had something to comment about.
So basically Gray said like it happens when he's out with kids. That's like the prime time getting hit on. And Evan's like, it literally never happens to me when I'm out with Ember.
Yeah. And Evan was like, Jess thinks like, oh yeah, you're going to be such a daddy that people are going to hit on you.
Of course.
And he's like, no, it never happened.
He said it never happened.
Did they dissect why?
Well, I think they figured out 2 things. Number one,
guys, you got to listen to Chatty Bros if you're not. Sorry.
I know, it's so good.
So funny.
I think they figured out that number one, Evan is with Ember, who is a tornado being.
So he's just trying to wrangle her.
There's no one noticing. And honestly, the women are running away because they're like, I cannot handle her as a stepdaughter. It is just not going to happen. So I think that is pushing the crowds away. And also, Evan is so unaware when someone's hitting on him. It rages me out, Bekah. Like, I have severe rage to the point where it has been like a problem in our relationship because it's so obvious and he just doesn't get it. Even when we were in high school, before we were dating, it'd be like all these girls blatantly like you. And he'd be like, I don't think so. And he meant it.
And did that rage you out so much when you were a jealous girlfriend too? And you were like, stop it! She wants to suck your dick right now!
All she's thinking about is your dick! Oh no, it would infuriate me. Infuriate me when I used to be jealous. Because it'd be like, he'd be working with someone and I'd be like,
she's into you.
And I'd be like, you better be aware of such and such who you're working with all the time because she's clearly in love with you. And whenever I come into your work, she is super rude to me and dismissive of me. And then I see her like all over you in the back. Mm-hmm. And he's like, what are you talking about? Like, she likes such and such. And like, no, she doesn't like me. Da, 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 da. And I would be like, you idiot. How unaware. You fool. And then eventually what would happen was, the girl would come on to him and then he'd be like, so I was at work and such tried to kiss me or like told me that she's always been in love with me because she had a drink or two. And I'm like, yeah, no, duh. And he'd be in shock. And it would get me so angry, even though I would feel so fulfilled when it would finally happen. I would almost pray that the women would actually come on to him so that I could have my moment of like, do you believe me now? I know I'm jealous, but
but I'm not blind.
No, I'm not going to be making up people. Like I wasn't unaware in that way. I was jealous, but I wasn't unaware.
Yeah.
And now it's like, man, when we moved to LA, we'd be at these like parties and he'd be like doing his little networking thing with music. And sometimes there'd be, different women in the industry that he'd be working with or would be like agents here or there or artists. And they'd be like at the party and the 2 of them would be off talking. And by the vibe, it was very clear to me that someone was very interested, hand on the arm, talking the whole time and just the leaning in. And it was so clear. He still doesn't pick up on it.
Did I ever tell you about the, I like sort of mentioned the situations when we were going back and forth about like when the guys were dissecting, like when we had Eric on.
Yes.
Did I ever tell you or talk about on the podcast like how that sort of happened with someone that Gray used to date, where like she was like putting her arm around his like waist, like flirting with him, like
I think you did a little bit, yeah. And you were like,
yeah, and I just talked to him because they were like, he wanted to, it was a situation where like we were all partying, but like then the kids, anyway, he was like, can I go hang out with all of them, like stay up later and like do this and that? And I'm like, well, I'm fine with that, but like it doesn't help that like I have to stay home with the kids while you're going out with this girl who's like clearly like acting this way towards you. Like, I don't think she's gonna do anything, but like that's annoying. No, when I'm getting left behind and you're going with all these people, including your ex, who is touching you.
Yeah, and you're like, I'm very aware that the second you walk in without me, that like she will experience glee.
Yeah,
to be like, he's alone.
Yeah,
and you don't want that glee.
And yeah, exactly. But she was already doing that in front of me. Like I was there.
That's bold.
I don't know. I mean, like, and that's the thing. Like, maybe she's a very affectionate person. Okay. She is. So, because I was watching her with like girlfriends and stuff like that too. But I'm still like, I don't think that's appropriate to do in front of your ex's
she
current
has her arm
girlfriend.
Around him, and you just get in between.
Yeah, I'm like, hello, save room for Jesus and Bekah. Yeah, and then like I guess later on.
So did he end up going?
He did. I was like, fine, it's fine, whatever. And then later on, she was like, something like, oh, like Bekah hates me or whatever. And he was like, no, it just like doesn't help when you're like flirting and like hitting on me. And she's like, what? I don't do that. And then apparently this made me feel so good. Everyone in the room was like, yes, you do.
Oh, validation.
And then all the other friends were like, yes, you do. Like you do flirt. And like,
and then you feel justified because you're like, all the other friends are supporting
exactly,
me.
This isn't in my head.
It's not in my head. That's always the thing. I mean, at the end of the day, you're like, have the,
she made a joke about like not having seen his penis before.
Oh, come on. I mean, that's blatant.
Right.
What? That's blatant.
We're cool.
Yeah, now. but you're like also like, what am I supposed to, like, yeah, I'm sure you had a great like retort back to it, but it's also a little bit like,
I didn't. I was in another conversation nearby and I'm like, or like I'm sitting there like with a kid on my lap, like watching as him and all of his friends are interacting and like that comment is made. And I'm just kind of sitting there like, that's not right.
That wouldn't have gone over well with me.
No? I wouldn't. I definitely, I can say even if I was a part of the conversation, I wouldn't have said a thing.
That wouldn't have gone over well with me.
What would you have said?
Not because, it's because
it's disrespectful.
It feels disrespectful because her and I wouldn't have a relationship.
Exactly. We don't know each other.
If I had a relationship with her, I'd be like, joke all you want about it. You know, I think it's so funny when people make jokes about like Evan being hot or them being into them. Like if the energy is congruent in the room, I'm like, go ahead and like hit on him in front of me all you want. Like, God bless. It does not bother me. But when there's an ex situation, they've had history. I don't have as a relationship with her. My kids are here and you're like joking about like having seen my partner's penis, like,
and we're totally cool now. But yeah, at the time it was like the conversations that we would have one-on-one. We're like, so how are things?
Yeah.
And like, and then I'm like, and then exactly, you're like on that level with my boyfriend and I don't know you very well.
Yeah, that's where you're like, you just have to be careful with your words. Like, granted, like, yeah, you
what would you have done or seen?
If
done or said, I mean,
if someone would have said that, I would have made a joke back. But
okay,
like,
so like
a little bit of a passive joke.
Okay, so let's say like this. So this was like the situation.
Okay,
it was like
tell me
someone
what she
said
says.
like, damn it, now I can't think of it. It was like some joke where like the guys were like joking about their dicks before and she was something like, and you know, she made some joke or she was like, oh, don't go there. Like I've seen it or something like that. Which I'm still like, not appropriate.
Yeah, no, I would have popped in probably.
It's different if we're all drinking together and she and I have been bantering and she says that in front of me, then I'm like,
completely.
Yeah, you and I both, girl.
I probably would have said that even if we weren't bantering, like, to just try to assert my power.
You're like this, you and I both, girl.
And then I would have done this.
audio listeners, she is drawing a finger across her neck to simulate the process of slitting her enemy's throat.
I would have, without any back and forth, I would have popped in and been like, you don't have to tell me twice, or like, yeah, go ahead and tell me. But because to assert my dominance,
yes,
to be like, I'm also part of this party.
I'm part of this.
Notice the children. Observe the children. I'm part of this process. I am also aware. So don't try to put ownership. See, that's always my thing, is I'm like, I don't like anyone trying. Ooh, it's a sore spot. Uh-oh, jealous Jess is coming out.
I've actually been on the other side of that. I've done that with an ex before. I'll tell you in a second.
Okay, but now jealous Jess is like, the memories are like starting to come out, and I'm just like,
well, and you know what? I think to a certain degree, like, that's not even, jealousy is one half of it, but the other half is like, you're fucking with me.
Yeah.
That's the other side of it, where it's like, you're fucking with me, and you're trying, this is a game between us now. And sometimes you can sense that, of like, you're trying to stake claim to the part of what was yours.
Okay, broads, one more pause. We all know you're supposed to eat a certain amount of fruits and veggies a day, and like, yeah, good in theory, but not always in execution. Personally, I find it difficult to get the right amount of good whole foods on days when I am super busy or stressed, or when I just don't feel like cooking. And for those days, I call in reinforcements like Daily Harvest. It is the easiest way to get more fruits and veggies into my day every day, and it's delicious.
Daily Harvest. Oh my God. I couldn't live without it. They deliver delicious plant-based desserts, like their scoops, which are the most delicious vegan ice cream. They got healthy snacks, ready-to-eat meals, so much more, all built on organic fruits and vegetables right to your door. I keep my freezer stocked with Daily Harvest. You can keep them in there for months, or when you go on vacation or whatever. And then when you're ready to eat, boom, you got fresh food. All it takes is a few minutes. They've got a huge variety of things to choose from. But no matter what you're craving, you can rest easy knowing Daily Harvest never uses added sugar or artificial anything. I'm the biggest fan of their smoothies and their bites. Their little bites taste like frozen cookie dough, so my kids love them. But they're made of good stuff like garbanzo beans. And their smoothies are just, I can't get enough of them. And they're always coming out with new flavors too.
I'm telling you, Daily Harvest has you covered any time of day. For breakfast, try one of their delicious smoothies or oat bowls. For lunch, my go-to is one of their hearty soups. And for dinner, I've been obsessed with the flatbreads. My favorite switches weekly because everything at Daily Harvest tastes just incredible. But I would say my current favorite has to be the kale and sweet potato flatbread. It's so good. Well, it's either that or the banana and chocolate fudge scoops, which are perfect after dinner. They're so delicious. You have to try the scoops.
Daily Harvest makes it easy to feel good about what I'm doing for myself and the planet. So go to dailyharvest.com/chatty to get up to $40 off your first box. That's dailyharvest.com/chatty for up to $40 on your first box. dailyharvest.com/chatty.
So we all want to have our dream home space, right? I mean, of course, when you picture your perfect house, it's probably decorated just right and the furniture pieces are perfectly fit to each room. But if you have your own place, then you know that's a whole lot easier said than done. But with the help of Article, your dream space is in reach.
Oh, Article. We love Article. Making your space beautiful has never been easier thanks to Article. And let me tell you why. Instead of going store to store to find your perfect coffee table, or instead of browsing hundreds of pages online for a lounge chair, I hate going on those websites, just page after page after page. You have to sort through so much crap. Instead, Article streamlines the shopping experience because they combine the curation of a boutique furniture store with the simplicity of shopping online, sweetie. And to make things even easier, Article's team of designers focuses on just a few modern design aesthetics, so you can shop for pieces that go together perfectly. And you can mix and match, but honestly, you could probably randomly grab 5 things off the site and they would all work together in your home, which is pretty cool. I think they have something for everyone. They've got stuff that's trendy, they've got stuff that's timeless, and everything in between.
If you have tried to shop for home decor and furniture in the past few years, then you know the wait times right now are rough, like 6 months or more rough. Article ships across the US and Canada quickly and free on orders over $999. And because Article cuts out the middleman and sells directly to their customers, you'll save up to 30% over traditional retail prices. I have so many pieces from Article, and without fail, they get the most compliments of anything in my house. I love them.
So also, Article is offering our listeners $50 off your first purchase of $100 or more. So, I mean, look, if you find something on the site for like $102, boom, you're getting half off. What a deal. So go to article.com/chatty and the discount will be automatically applied at checkout. So that's article.com/chatty. You'll get $50 off your first purchase of $100 or more.
I'm very triggered, I think, by anyone trying to put ownership on a partner of mine.
Yeah.
Including myself.
Sure.
I'm just like, I'm not going to try to, I mean, obviously, if we're on the podcast and we're talking about partners, or if I'm having a conversation with Evan,
sure.
But like in a public space, I always try to not be like, well, let me tell you about Evan, or he's so this way.
He's not like that.
No, I'm like, he can speak for himself.
Yeah.
So that's already important to me.
I don't like that. One of my friends does that with their partner, where it's like, they don't like that.
No, I don't like.
And then the partner will be like, I like that. And they'll be like, no, you don't.
Oh, that's a huge issue for me. I don't like when I don't like hearing people do that to their partners. I don't like a partner doing that to me. No, I've got like, it's been like back in the day, like a place of like, hey, conversation, like don't speak for me in that way. And I'm not going to speak for you in this way and whatever. So that's already a trigger.
Yeah.
When someone who is not currently in a relationship with me or my partner attempts to have an ownership moment, angry fireworks coming out of my ears.
I'm a little bit flattered when an ex tries to do it with me.
Oh, because you have your moment where you're like, observe. Like you're trying.
Or not even in front of, not even if it's in front of my partner or whatever. Like if a ex, let's say, will respond to a story of mine. Nothing like that, not in an out of the ordinary, but like say something that will reference our relationship.
Yeah, but that's between you and the person. I'm all about that in the confinement between in our relationship. Right. I'm talking about not on public, in front of the right, where it's like there's a group of 20 friends and we're all hanging out, and then there's like that assertion of like ownership.
I'll tell you what, I felt kind of bad in hindsight. There was a situation where I was with my ex and their current partner, and this ex in particular, I haven't seen him in a long time, but when we would go back and forth, our conversation is like it's just very like, we just go. Like we could just
you guys
talk
have
and
that
talk
thing.
and talk. We make each other like just laugh and just we go. And actually, I don't know if I asserted it or he did. We like used to have this voice that we used to joke back. We used to talk back and forth to each other in, and we both thought it was hilarious. And it was me or him that initiated it. And like I did the voice, and then he did the voice, and I did the voice, and we're dying laughing. His girlfriend's like sitting in the room. And then we were talking about then like a memory with his brother or whatever. And after I felt kind of bad because like that was kind of shitty. She was kind of like on the outskirts of the conversation, and we were like,
yeah. And I think that like,
and I knew it was shitty. It's not like I know it's not like objectively a shitty thing, but in that moment, I knew I was like
you felt it,
and I was aware, but I didn't care, and it was selfish.
Yeah, it's like you could have included her. It's like explained, like
or I didn't. I mean, there was nothing to be explained. It was clearly an inside joke between the two of us, and that almost would have been worse if I was like, oh. By the way, Katie, this is what we used to do together.
That's true. I would rather, though, have an inside joke going back and forth between personally than that public ownership.
But that was in front of a whole group of friends. No, there was like 10 of us.
But I'm saying if Evan's ex was around and there was like they had a back and forth moment, I would rather that, because I'd be like, yeah, they have history together.
It felt like a way of ownership, though. I think especially like bringing up past like, oh, you know, like, and how's your brother? Like, and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
It was like a subtle like, yeah, that's right, bitch. I was a part of I was a part of his life.
For sure. You know? I'm just saying on a triggered end for me.
But what if someone then goes,
because there's something to me about it being like, oh, we've known each other
Yeah.
for a while. We have history. And so we have inside jokes, or I'm like, oh, how's your brother doing? Or da 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 da. And you guys know each other, versus the ex publicly being like, well, let me tell you all about Evan. And I'm just like, that's not your place anymore, my dear. That is not your place. And that's where the jealousy goes out. Oh, man. No.
You don't know him.
Only
like
one.
I know
I'm like,
him
only
now.
one person can do that. And I'm not even going to do that because he's his own person. He can speak for himself. So then when those type of comments happen, but I'm also hypersensitive. There's like there's a specific person who's a friend in a group of friends of ours. And sometimes she's around. Sometimes she's out, but the second I see her, I'm like, Jessica, prepare yourself, mind, body, and fucking soul. Because this individual, for some reason, from the day we met her, thinks that she intimately knows Evan and I. I don't know why.
Oh, that's bad. That's all bad.
And I don't know if it's just via maybe Instagram stalking. Like, I don't know. But I remember I hung out with her in a large group the first time. Barely spoke. The next time I saw this person, we were at a house party and around a group of friends, and I said something, and she immediately just goes, someone was laughing about what I said. She immediately just like puts her hand on my shoulder and is like, "Oh my God, everybody, this is just so Jess. This is so Jess." And I'm like, hey,
That would make me furious.
and I was like, hey, I'm not trying to be a bitch because I feel like I'm friendly, but I don't even know you. Like,
Did you say
I don't even
that?
remember your name. No, I didn't say anything. I was a
like,
coward.
what? You
I was
said
a
that?
coward.
No, that's not cowardly. That's just mean.
I just didn't say anything. I was just like, oh my God. And at that point, like, genuinely, I remember meeting her briefly because I'd met a bunch of people
after the podcast had started.
This is before.
See, that's weird.
Right. There's no context to have known me. And so then that same energy was carried out onto my husband, way more so than myself.
Oh no.
So whenever she sees my husband, the physical response to him walking in the room,
She's like, Evskis.
No. It's like they were lovers who were separated by war. She like grabs him and like wraps her fucking legs around him and like holds him in this like tight embrace for like
What on
5
earth?
minutes. And Evan will literally just be like this and like be looking at me. And then when there's people around, she'll always just be like, let me tell you about Evan. And like, she doesn't know. We haven't gotten to know each other better. It's a person we
What
every
on
once in a while see. And it makes me like unreasonably angry.
Oh, I would kill. I would murder.
And it's just like, at the end of the day, I'm like, why does it matter? I don't know this person.
No, it doesn't. You're right.
She doesn't like, she's not trying to like hang out constantly. She's not having an affair with my husband. Like, I don't know this person. Why am I so unreasonably angered by this? And I think it's because that's a trigger for me, is like, don't speak for me. I'm not going to speak for my partner.
That would literally make me want to kill them.
It's rough, dude.
That would make me so furious. I would talk about it for months.
It's one of those things where like,
I'm trying
to work on myself, but it's one of those things where like when I walk into a group, like if there's like a big party and I spot this person, I'm like, time ruined.
I mean, isn't
like, and now it's this is all I'm gonna be thinking about, because I know I'm gonna be like, she's gonna be following Evan around. I'm gonna see it out of the back of my eye, like corner of my eye, and just be like fixated on how I just want to like pull this person into a corner and be like, hey, your behavior with my partner in front of me is completely inappropriate.
Yeah.
Like, I want to go off at some point. Like, we don't have a relationship. When my girlfriends act that way with my husband or someone that he knows, fine. He's his own person. I have no problem.
Yeah, well, like when I'm jumping up and down on his lap, it's totally cool. I'm like, I'm disgusted. I'm appalled. But like, isn't that just, maybe it's not? Isn't that just objectively like extremely irritating? Or is it not objectively irritating? Because
I don't know.
Even if I saw someone doing that with you, I would be like,
you'd be like, excuse.
I am sorry.
Who are you?
Whom?
I haven't heard of you.
I mean, That would make me batshit crazy.
But let's just say someone like meets her and immediately likes her energy and feels really cared for by her because she's so invested in them.
I don't know.
It's a lot.
I know someone who is like, yeah, they act sometimes like they're closer to me than I feel that we are, which that's all just perception, right? Someone can feel.
But here's the thing. So if you're friends with this person and they think you're closer, that is perception.
Yeah.
I don't know this person.
That's bizarre.
Do you know what I'm saying?
That's bizarre.
It's like you are friends of a friend who I have maybe spent a grand total of 30 minutes of conversation with over like all of these hangs.
Do they treat anyone else like that?
That's the thing.
Okay, so
that's
they
the
do
energy.
Kind of, yeah.
It's the most so with Evan. Like to the point where like everyone around is like, this is inappropriate. Like everyone notices it.
Why doesn't Evan say something?
Because he's a coward.
Because he's a bitch.
I'm like, I've asked him before, I'm like, you should say something. And he's like, what am I supposed to say?
Yeah, I know. What are you supposed, what is anyone
He's
supposed
just like,
to say?
I don't know what I'm supposed to say. He's like, I don't see her enough for it to be a problem. He's like, if I saw her all the time, it'd be like, hey, maybe let's cool it. But he's like, I see her once in a blue moon. Like, what am I supposed to say?
No, it would be good though if you just said it in like a really, really, don't ever blow up on her. Do this. Just be like, hey, I hate to break this to you, but Evan has a extremely contagious rash and it's, he's had it for a long time. It's incredibly painful, boils all over your body.
Over. That's why he wears the long sleeves.
And I noticed that you were pretty close to him
so
earlier.
I want you to
I'm looking out for you. This is girl to girl.
Yeah, to get the virus.
The
like,
boils.
I don't want it. I was going to say, if I pulled her aside and never said anything, I couldn't because I feel like that would be taken, and I'm too fucking prideful as like a power position shift.
Yeah, you could just be like...
Because it doesn't bother me because I think anything's going to happen.
Yeah, but you just could say casually and be like, hey, I don't really feel comfortable with the way that you like interact with him.
It almost came out the last time that we were all together. Yeah, I was like, I can't take this anymore. I was like, this is so over the top. And like, you're like running to him like, ah, and like in a moan in his arms. And it's just like, this is...
How bizarre.
Wild.
How bizarre. I don't understand that.
One of my friends always kind of pulls up next to me and he's always just like, this is a show I like to watch. I'm like, shut up. Because he knows that it bugs me. And he's always just like, did you see him? And I'm like, stop.
And I'm sure it's a thing that everyone in the room is picking up on.
Of course.
Who
It's
is this
very
person?
obvious.
So say her name. Say it on the pod.
Speak it.
Speak it. Well, we've got about 15 minutes left of the podcast here, and Jess brought out this sweet game.
You know, we had seen Good Moms Bad Choices do We're Not Really Strangers, answer some of the cards. So we were thinking we could answer them because some of these, I had never played this game before, and some of these questions go real intense and real deep. Yes. So maybe we pull two, and then in our next episode, we do a full We're Not Strangers, because we're going to get some really intense. I just grabbed a handful of them, and I saw a peek of a few. I'm like, wow, this is very intimate.
Okay.
This is about to get real. So go ahead, pull a card.
Pull a card. I pull one.
Yeah. And we're not doing this
level one,
like the game version where we're just answering the questions, or else it's just going to get
love notes to each other.
Too complicated.
Perception. Do I remind you of anyone? Maybe Danny DeVito, Michelle Pfeiffer. Anyone come to mind?
That girl I was just
Serena
talking
Williams. About. Yeah, that girl you were talking about.
You know what's funny is there's two people you remind me of. One person is... When I was in, this is so random. When I was in elementary school, there was a girl in my class who I was like loved, obsessed with, wanted to be her best friend. But she didn't have like a best friend because she would hop from like individual, like group to group to group. And anytime that I would get a moment with her, I was like, this is so fun. You remind me, it's similar energy. And I know her now like as an adult, and it's similar energy for sure. And then also Marilyn Monroe. Ever since you showed me the photo, and its potential family, I think about Marilyn Monroe all the time.
Wow. You don't remind me of anyone.
I'm a unique bird.
You're one. Yeah, you wrong answer, Jess. I am 1 in a million. That's my answer for you.
I'm forcing myself.
You're not like anyone. You're unique. There's no one even remotely like you. And I thought you felt the same way about me. Okay.
The game is going crazy.
Okay. You pick a card. Level 2. Look at that. One card, we're already to level 2.
I shuffled these, so I don't even know. Okay, level 2, connection.
Oh my God.
I'm
uncomfortable already. I'm ready.
Are you missing anyone right now? Do you think they're missing you too?
Yeah. Yeah, of course I miss people. I miss my dead grandpa. I hope he misses me too. I miss my ex-boyfriend. Maybe he misses me too. I don't know. I hope so. I miss tons of people. What a dumb question. I hate this game.
I think I took you to level 2 too quickly.
You didn't even lube it up, bitch. Do I miss anyone? Yeah, I do. Quite a few people, actually.
Only one person comes to mind.
To you?
I mean, I just had my initial, my knee-jerk reaction. There's one of my best friends growing up. She was in my wedding. Her name is Christina. She's a person who she lives not far away, but I just don't see her often. And I think about her constantly.
You should hit her up.
I know, I need to.
Yeah.
We need to spend more time together. But she's just kind of one of those people in my life who I've had there for forever. And when I see her, it's like,
Aww.
it's like nothing, no time passed. And she's forever more of a sister to me. But I miss her all the time. And then I don't call, which is one of my chronic bad habits. Is I think about people and about how much I love them, and then I don't text or call them back even.
Just tag her on the Chatty Broads Instagram post.
I'll do that. Shout out.
Post the clip.
Shout out Christina.
Post the clip. Just tag her.
Clip it.
Then we need to reach out. I do the same thing. And then sometimes in my head, because I have thought the positive thought about the person, that's enough. And they receive it in my head. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then they'll send me a message.
Vibe. Yeah.
They'll send me a message and be like, hey, thinking of you. Let's get together. And I don't respond. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm the worst at texting back. Yeah. I'm really going to try to work on that too, but I have so many things.
By the way, to Jess's friends listening, she only texts me back, and that's not really a joke.
Yeah, that's a fact. I don't text family back.
Yeah.
Until weeks later. I text Evan back sometimes.
Huh. If it's a direct question, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. If he sends me something check this out, it's funny, I will never respond.
You're so cold.
I just don't think I like being in person with someone.
I also often open things and I think that's nice. And then
yeah, of course. It's not an intentional oh, screw you. It's just oh my God. And then something else pops in my mind or something else happens and I'm I'll respond to it later, and I just never do.
Yeah.
I wasn't meant for swift communication.
You weren't meant for the internet.
I'm an old soul. I was meant for a different time.
Okay, I'm over this. What's your mother's name and the most beautiful thing about her?
All right, pull another card.
Get this out of here.
What did that one say?
What can I help you with? I don't want to ask you that. I don't need to burden myself with obligations to you. Okay. No.
But I have something really important.
No. What? I like this one a lot better because it's about you. What title would you give this chapter in your life? I like that question.
Not receiving help from Bekah.
I am helpless and Bekah.
Someone help me, I'm drowning.
Yeah. Titanic is sinking, Bekah's on the door. I am drowning.
Bekah is Kate, I am Leo, SOS. What would I say?
I like that question though.
It is a nice question. I would say
you're gonna come up with something so good. I just know it.
Your psychic abilities are putting pressure on me. I would say this season would be called trying to think of the right word for it, but I like the word absorbing or soaking in
Soaking.
You know,
That's
I
the
love to
chapter of this
soak.
title.
This-
Soaking.
Soaking. But I feel like I haven't like just stopped and enjoyed life in a really long time. And I really want to do that this year. And I feel like so far I've done it.
Soaking up the rays of life.
Yeah. And like when I catch myself in an anxiety spiral, I feel like that's kind of the reminder where I'm like, this is all I have is this moment. And I know one day I'm going to look back at this time of my life and be like, these were the days. Like, soak it in. And so I'm like, I really want to actively soak in this year.
I love
and
that.
I also would love to soak more.
Soak.
What about you?
I'm nauseous. That question is not for me. Pick another card.
No, we were both going back and forth.
Okay. I don't know. Yeah, my Kim Kardashian era. Yeah, the Pete Davidson era. I think I would call it. I'm actually really trying to think. I think I would call it. Coming home again.
Ooh, that's better than soaking.
Okay, next question.
Are you gonna give any sort of?
That's what I would call it. That's what I would call it.
All right, I'll accept
Let it be
that.
what you will.
I'll come up with many definitions in my own brain that's always full of assumptions.
I think of it. Okay. So to explain,
This is so Bekah, by the way.
it actually is because I can't let anything be mysterious. I am so bad at that. No, I think of it like I'm remembering. Like I'm just remembering like parts of myself that were like already there. It's not like I'm like rediscovering or making a new me. It's just like coming home again and being like, oh, that's right. Like even if like you would visit a house after a long time, be like, I love that lamp. Or like, oh my God, I love sitting in that kind of just that of like just remembering like the things that, and not like I've been disconnected from this, but like there's been certain ways that I've been able to identify like things that are special to me or like who I am. And I still resonate those things, but then it's remembering these other things that used to be special to me that I just like forgot for whatever reason. And so it's like coming home again to those parts of myself and being like, oh yeah, okay, come along, come back along, get back on the wagon and let's continue the journey. And I want to remember to like bring these things with me that are a part of me.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
So and that's what I'm going to title my new book.
That's what I'm titling my book.
Just stealing your shit. You come back the next week and I've got a tattoo on my body that says coming home again. I'm like leaning like this and you can see it and you're like, that's it. Coming home again. What? I've had this for years. I don't know what you're talking about.
It's on your neck like a little strip.
Across.
Dash. Jessica Ambrose. Have you ever seen someone post on their Instagram a quote with a dash and their own name?
Please don't get me started on this.
Is that not the most like insane thing you've ever seen?
There's nothing more 2020, like nothing more this era with that we are quoting ourselves on Instagram. Like it's just a new level. Like I don't post your beautiful quotes. Like post them, but you don't need to then quote yourself.
And I know why they're
Instagram.
doing it, and that's what makes it worse. Is they're doing it because if people repost it, they want it to be brought back to them. But then it's so twisted because then you're like, oh, they're posting it in the hopes that this will be a viral quote that will lead back to more followers.
Right,
for
not
them.
just for the beauty of what the
thought.
the truth is in the message.
The purity of the thought.
All the purity goes out the window the second I see that.
Disgusting.
I know a specific person who does that all the time, and the quotations
are not theirs.
No. It's literally just like, soak in this beautiful day. And you're like, or
you are who you are and no one can change that.
Yeah,
Dash
like,
Bekah Martinez.
Like, when you wake up, remember, deep breaths, move forward. Dash Jessica Ambrose. You're just like, I don't feel like that's worthy of a whole graphic and a dash quote, but go ahead, see if it goes viral.
I want to start doing that, but like with famous like brand quotes, like just do it, dash Becca Martinez.
Do you know what's funny is I think we had this conversation at one point during like a Bachelor episode, and we were talking about quotes, and some of the broads then did a beautiful background, and the quote was something just like, you know, I love life and everything in it, dash Jessica. Like, it's just stupid. Wow. Beautiful. What goes around comes around.
That's beautiful.
We should really start doing it and see if people take us seriously.
I want to make like shirts with my own name where it's like, but it's like famous quotes where it's like, pain is just fear leaving the body. And it's like dash Becca Martinez.
Just fully rip off people's quotations.
Yeah. Or like, you know, like the famous Bob Marley one, like that's the thing about music. When you feel, when it hits you, you feel no pain. And dash Becca Martinez. That's so funny. I love that. I want to start doing that. I'm going to do that on my Instagram. Like famous like music lines. Yeah. Let it be speaking words of wisdom. Let it be Becca Martinez. Becca Martinez. That's me. Okay.
One more.
Yeah. Not level 3. Not level 3. Just kidding. Okay, fine. Do it. But if it's dumb, I won't answer it. Oh no.
This is an intense one.
Oh God. When was the last time you felt truly helpless? You to the Uber driver. Keep these in your pocket. Just pull it out and ask your Uber driver.
This is actually great. This is one that I will be asking my Uber driver. What about me is hardest for you to understand?
God. Okay.
Soak it in.
Soaking.
Remember 2022. Soak.
Hardest for me to understand. That's an interesting question. Hardest for me to understand. Actually, it's kind of hard because then I have to think like, what don't I understand about you? Which is
limitless.
Kind of like, I'm kind of drawing a blank.
They call me a woman of mystery.
Okay, I think it would be hard for me to understand. That's not a good way to word it. What I was going to say, which is not the right way because that doesn't make any sense. What I'm going to say is like,
why you're such a stupid bitch.
What I don't understand is how you have absolutely no original thoughts in your brain. And like, that's just kind of hard to, it's hard for me to understand why your house is so dirty. It's hard for me to understand why, you know, you can't be present with your child. You know, there's just things like that. Those are just the first things.
Just off the top.
Those are just
but let me workshop a few more.
I would say it's hard for me to understand, and this is why, like, I'll explain why it doesn't make sense, and you'll know why it doesn't make sense. I would say it's hard for me to understand why you have a fear of bad things happening when your life is so good. But then that doesn't make sense because then it's like, well, of course, you'd be afraid of, you have more things to lose if everything in your life is going well. But it's sort of like, I'll put it this way. I feel like your life can go any way you want it to if you have faith in like yourself. Like, you know, like you could have not everyone can have, maybe everyone can. I haven't made up my mind about that. But I feel confident that you could have a beautiful life forever, but you're scared of these ugly parts entering your life. But you don't have to be. I feel like you don't have to be afraid of that. And so I find that, I would say I find that hardest to understand.
I think that's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense about me. But
it's not hard to understand. So that's why it's a weird question.
No, but I think hardest to understand meaning like you maybe inherently get it, but you can't resonate with it.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's like, I can't.
Yeah. No, yes.
That's how I took the question. Because for me, the hardest thing about you to understand isn't something that I'm like, oh, what is this?
Right.
I just don't resonate with it. On the flip side of what you said to me, I can't understand how you are able to, with like motivation, go from one project to the next.
Yes. even if I'm like dumping one thing like and picking up another and like just
because I like have my one and I drain myself in one, which is one of the things that I'm working on.
Yeah.
Where I'm just like, why are you spiraling about this when only good things are happening? Which then I'm coming face to face with the concept that like, that's what my fear is, that it will continue to be good and it will get out of my control. And then what do I do?
Yeah.
Like there's this fear of
even
like,
though it was never in your control.
it was never in my control.
No, I understand what you're saying too. It's like, probably I would assume that the thing that you're like, you have something here, like develop this thing. It's a good thing.
Right.
Develop it. Right. And I'm like,
And you're like, no, move on to the next thing. And I'm just like, what? Like, but you worked, but I watched you work really hard.
Yeah.
But then it doesn't bring you joy.
Yeah.
So you're able to move on to the next thing.
Yeah. Sometimes it's not, but I guess, yeah. I was going to say sometimes it's not the best thing, but also I don't even know if I believe that. Because who knows what it couldn't have been. Do you think that do you like believe that there are different life paths, or do you think that there's only like one thing that could happen anyway?
No, I think there are many different life paths.
But how could anything else happen if there's only one thing that has? Does that make sense? This is what I go back and forth with.
Like our life has been predetermined in some way?
No. Like,
or like that we'd always kind of wind up back in the same space?
No. It's like,
because if I would have married that multimillionaire, life would have looked very different for me.
It's like, is there actually any other potential alternate? Because I'm really bad at wording this, but like, okay, I chose to wear these red pants today. Mm-hmm. Sure, there was a possibility that I could have worn a pair of denim jeans.
Right.
But I made the choice to wear the red pants. And like, there is no alternate path because the only path is the one that happened. I did pick the red pants. And there's actually no other. Yeah. There is actually no other option.
That makes sense to me because that's the decision you made. So there are no alternate paths because that's not what you chose.
Yeah. So sometimes I think
sure,
about
you can pretend the idea, but it's not actually an alternate path because that's not what you decided.
Right.
That makes
so
sense
like,
to me.
I don't think about that about future choices. You know, I'm not like, there's not even any control I have over the choice I make, which I guess I do believe to a certain extent. But I think of it with past stuff. I'm like, there is actually no, like if I forget to bring my wallet, there actually is no other path where I like remember to bring my wallet because I didn't.
I think that's a really good kind of detached way to look at it. Like, and I mean detached in like a positive way.
Yeah.
So that you're not holding on to anything too tightly. Yeah. Because I live in the what if. I live in the what if. And it's not good.
Because it can be good.
I mean, it can be, I think there's good elements to everything, right? And but I think when it comes to living like in peace, you can't live in the what if. And that's been one of my biggest goals. The whole thing about the soaking, all that ultimately comes down to the desire for peace. Because I just can't let myself have it. For the love of God, everything will be going perfectly. And I will like, this is classic me. Everything will be going perfectly. And all of a sudden, there's this part of my body that's like, hello, mania. Yeah. And I will destroy things so that there is chaos. Yeah. And so that it's not going perfectly. And I have to, I have something to feel anxious about and to spiral about. Yeah. And so it's like, ultimately, like, and a lot of that goes back to the what if. Yeah. Once I'm out of like the mania or whatever, it's like all of these things could have happened and, you know, whatever.
I actually really would love, I seriously would love to have my dad on because he is one of the most peaceful people I know in that sense. He does not, the past is the past and it's in the past. Like it's just, and I feel like he really embodies that where like, even if it's like a shitty business decision, he's like, it happened.
Well, and he's worked
he's very successful.
very hard and
yeah.
been very successful. Like, I mean, I would imagine a lot of that is connected to that mindset.
Yeah. Yeah. But and he just has like this detachment. I mean, honestly, he would hate if I was saying this, but it's very sort of in a way like Buddhist, where he's like not really, he's like detached from his material stuff, from like sense of security. Everything he does, I think, is mostly for his own enjoyment. Like even like business, his like pursuit of business or like making more money or whatever is just like, it's for fun. It's for joy. But like, even just like with his relationships to his kids, like he always says to me like, Bekah, like, you're not mine. Like, you belong to God. Like, you don't belong to me. And like, and he's always had that sense of peace in like, in when things are going rough in his kids' lives, you know, he's kind of just like, but you never belonged to me in the first place. So like, how can you be taken from me? Or like, how can you be, you know, removed from me if you were like never mine? And it's something I always like marvel at. I don't know.
I would love to have him on, because even when you're saying like him not being like, you know, attached to like anything like the physical or the monetary or whatever, I'm like, what I need to figure out is the whole weird thing about this in my brain is that I am not attached to the physical things. Like, I'm not attached to the money. What I'm attached to is the security.
Yeah.
So it has nothing to do with actually like, oh, I want this stuff or I want to live this way. And
it's the
whatever.
Fear, right? It's like, it's
pure fear of security, which I think has been like generationally passed down, which I understand. My Nana and Boppy were living in like a war-torn area, and they were, you know, they had a lot of struggle, and then they passed that down as immigrants to my mom. And then I was raised very like, it's all about security. So everything that I do is but what if the security goes away? And it's like, and I've watched my mom now in her 60s, like, and I'm watching her doing it now, like missing out on so many beautiful parts of life in the name of security. And so it's like, I am willing to put myself in a space where I live in 24/7 anxiety for no reason other than just going, but what if it all goes away? Because it's a focus on security. So you can let yourself think that 24/7, right? And it could be about anything. And I'm like, that's what the fixation has been through my childhood, like into my adulthood. And I'm watching my mom like walking through it right now. And I've been talking with her about it. And talking with her about it has been helpful because I'm talking to myself essentially. Like, but mom, like, what do you feel like you're giving this up just in the name of security? Like, is that worth it? You know? And then I'm like, have a mirror to myself going like, bitch, you spend all day heart beating, massive anxiety for no reason in the name of security. No reason.
Even though, and okay, this is, I'm a disclaimer, but like, even though security is like, for all intents and purposes, an illusion, right?
Correct.
And I mean, and when I say the disclaimer is like, okay, no, like it's good to have like money saved up in case for emergencies, like, but this idea that I can stop bad things from happening if I plan enough is, it's a mirage, right?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I do it too. It's not.
But it's like active every day, lay in bed awake at night, insomnia, when the day could have been great.
Yeah.
There's nothing happening.
Yeah.
Nothing is going on for me to worry about. I mean, you know, obviously the outside world, but I'm talking about in my own personal life where I'm like, there's nothing for me to be like, it was a good day. Check.
Do you feel confident? Which I feel like the answer is yes, but I should ask you, do you feel confident that like you can survive and thrive no matter the circumstances? And again, I'm saying this very generally. Of course, there are circumstances that are extremely, you know what I'm asking.
I don't know. And maybe that's part of what it is because I think I watched myself in other like workspaces and my bipolar was so bad that I was like, I don't know how to function. And
you're afraid that you'll be trapped again. Like you're afraid that you'll be trapped.
A little bit. And now I'm like, I'm in this like space where I love doing what we do and there's freedom and we just get to be us and like there's flexibility and it's like
you're
such
talking
a
about
gift.
security in your career.
Yeah, but it's career, but more like when you're like, could I continue to thrive? I'm like, well, I guess that would mean then thriving. My brain automatically goes financial security. So I'm like, okay, well, that would mean this would be over. So then there'd be a new job. And like, how do I function with my bipolar self in a job where I have a boss? Could I do creatively stuff on my own? Maybe. I don't like.
Well, and I'll even challenge that a little bit where then there's and I don't want to say, in this entire conversation, I don't want to sound like an asshole and be like, don't worry about money.
You don't sound
money
like an
doesn't
asshole.
matter. Okay.
But I don't want to, listen, at the end of the day, like we're comfortable.
Yeah.
So let's just say it all got ripped away tomorrow. There's a chance that could happen. We could lose everything tomorrow. But today, we're okay. Yeah. And I can't enjoy today. Yeah. Well, and that's the problem.
Yeah, when I was going to say, like, even this definition of thriving, it's like, okay, if this goes away, then like you would need to get a job. It's like, and then like I would immediately go like, well, why do you need to go get a 9-to-5 job? You know, like, because then I would assume that there's a conversation in the family of like, well, because we need to make this certain amount of income to have these certain investments so that we can be here when we get to this age. And so that our daughter can be here when she's here and that we're all, so that way we are moving in these directions.
Right.
That we
100%.
Yeah.
And we're in like, I'm in a weird space where like in mine and Evan's relationship too, like my parents were fixated on security.
Yeah.
Like they had a good amount of money. Nothing was fucking invested. Yeah. They would just sit on it, which is not what you should be doing with money. But they were too nervous. It was all about having that security. And so that's how I was raised. And then Evan, on the flip side, was raised, very heavily by his father, who that was his father. That's his language. Right. It's all about money. And they went through struggles financially, and that was what was talked about 24/7 in his house. So he has this mentality too of like, I'm not worthy if I don't prove myself financially in this way, because that is when my father acknowledges his love for me, is when I make a certain amount of money. And I've watched it with my own eyes. I've watched their conversations and I've watched him crumble.
It's the most like basic thing of like, like we've talked about, he's not proud of me. I've disappointed him.
Yeah. And he knows. And I've watched him crumble in front of his dad where he tells him something that he really did that was really good for him. And he's feeling good and he's doing something he is passionate about. And his dad just goes, so, I mean, but end of the day, like, how much are you pulling in? And then his brother shows up and his brother's in a job. He's making great money. And all of a sudden dad is super proud of him. And Evan so desperately wants love. And he's learning that about himself, but he would mask it with that. So then we're both in these things. We're having to challenge ourselves a lot where we look at each other and go, we'll have to shake each other sometimes and go, we have each other. We have our daughter. This is what we care about. And him and I ultimately too don't really give a fuck. We're not big spenders. Yeah. It's not even like that. It's like, what are we doing? This is how.
Who are we trying to prove this to?
Right. Our parents. I'm like, this isn't about us.
Well, and I was going to say, like, I think that's what, like, Gray's exploring some just own stuff of, like, anxiety of, like, around his business stuff and, like, fears. And, like, ultimately, a lot of what it comes down to is, like, for him at least, is, like, insecurity with himself of, like, feelings of not being worthy enough, feelings of not being good enough. And, like, that's where all my fears stem from, too, is, like, I'm not good enough. Maybe not even for a certain person, but like for myself. And I don't know. I think that's like the hardest thing, but like the biggest thing is like, can we step into confidence in ourselves so that we can feel assured that whatever we're doing, we've still got ourselves to pull ourselves through.
I mean, and that's all we have, really.
That's all we really do have.
That's really all. I mean, that's all we have.
Because it is an illusion. Yeah, it's an illusion control. Okay, that being said, I gotta go, you guys. I'm so sorry to leave on this note, but I really have to go. I really have to go. Be confident, be yourself,
yes.
and buy this game.
Yes.
We're sponsored by them. No, I'm just kidding.
We're really not.
But
We're not
let's
really
play more.
strangers.
It's fun.
We'll
Good
play
team
more.
worked. It worked.
You
We
chucked
went
a couple
20
of the
minutes
cards,
over.
but then we dug in.
We don't want to talk about your mom, okay? We don't want to talk about her.
Sorry,
we
Sylph.
talk about her off cam, okay? Love you. Mwah.
Love you, Mom. Bye. Chat
Chat
soon,
soon.
Ross.